Hello, this is the new NORD Stage 2 keyboard. It's a 73 note, they call it the Compact, and it's got a waterfall keyboard, and that is basically a semi-weighted action. However, it's much better than a lot of the other semi-weighted actions that are out at the moment. It's still very good and feels very realistic as well. I'm very surprised with the NORD. Very good build quality. It's very nicely done, and it looks quite stylish as well. As you can see, starting from the left-hand side of the keyboard, we've got the pitch bend, which is the wooden sort of block that's been pushed into that hole. A little bit strange, I must admit, to get used to, but it serves the purpose anyway. Next to that is it's a sort of function wheel. And that can be used in many different ways, but one of them is what they call a morph, for morphing, and that's where you can assign levels or different functions basically to that wheel. So when you push the wheel up, it will decrease or increase the levels, or even drawbars, things for the organs. You can change that. So there's lots of things it can do. And next to that, you've got the rotary speaker section, basically one of the effects mainly used for the organ, but you can use it for piano and the synth section as well in here. But for the organ section, obviously you've got the drive, or the overdrive, and then you've got the rotary functions themselves of the speaker. You can put the slow or the fast speed, or the stop mode. Just above that is the master volume level. Each section has its own easy to use level control, which you can see the first section here is organ. Now the first button you see up the top there is the level button, and then just below that is how you switch the keyboard zone on and off. So you can obviously select whether it's the whole lot or certain parts of the keyboard. But to switch that on, you press the button, and then you've got the drawbars. So you've got your 16, 8, 4, 2s, all your different flutes there. You've got Hammond, Vox, and Farfisa organ models that you can use there. All of them you can assign vibrato, chorus, and percussive notes to as well. You've got you can flick between two different presets that are in there, so it makes it, if you want to sort of put a slightly sort of different sound on, you can do it. And as I say, you can use the morph or the function wheel to change that as well. So that's the organ part of that. Next section is the piano section. Again, you see a separate level. You see the on and off switch for that's for the piano section. You've got different effects that you can use on the piano with regards to the pedal noises and the string resonance. You'll find, I think, on some of the samples it will work, and some of the samples it's not designed to work with. I think basically on the NORD website you've got different versions of pianos you can put in. So if you're running a little low on RAM space to put it in, you can use a medium size sample rather than the large or extra large sample, which would potentially have those effects on there. I mean, I must admit I'd rather go for less pianos but better quality, so I've just deleted a lot of stuff out of their harpsichords I'd never ever use, and I've put in a couple of very nice pianos, and also an upright piano as well, all downloadable from NORD, all free to download from NORD, so it's very good, the service that they provide as well. So this is how you select your different piano sounds. You've got grand pianos, and then you've got the different modes of the grand piano, which basically you can go for Yamaha, Steinway, Bosendorfer, those different. And then you've got the upright pianos, which I think are absolutely fantastic in this keyboard. They make the piano sound absolutely fantastic. The electric pianos are also very good as well. The Rhodes pianos on electric piano 1, you've got several types in there, and then you've got a whirly piano as well on electric piano 2. You can DX them up by using one of the samples in the synth section, which I'll explain about a bit later on. And you also have clavinet in there as well, so you Stevie Wonder fans out there can play those parts. Also, it gives you different effects for the clavichord as well. You can change the brilliance and the type of a feel that they give. So that is part of the piano section. The middle part, as I said, you've obviously got the morpher sign. You've got keyboard zones you can split to different parts of the keyboard. You have next part is the program bank. So you've got parts A to B, A to D. Sorry, so you've got A, B, C, and D. And within each of those, there are 20 pages. So page A, you've got 20 of those, and each page there are 5 different programs you can use. So you've got the buttons here 1 to 5. So you go A 1 2 3 4 5. Next page 1 2 3 4 5. Next page 1 2 3 4 5. So up to 20 pages. So there's 4 banks A to D of that. So there's absolutely loads in there. You'll find that A and D are the same, which allows you then to put your own things into A, and you won't lose any. Obviously, that you can get them from D if you wish, if that makes sense. A lot of buttons have dual functions. So you see the shift button down here. Usually anything at the above, you don't need the shift, but anything written underneath, you do. So very, very simple ways of setting those program banks. You just press the store button, or store as if you want to change the name of it. Very, very straightforward. Live mode. You've got the 5 buttons here. If you press the live mode button, and basically, if any time that you are in that program setting, so if you've got live mode on, number 1, whatever you last leave in there, it remembers. So you can sort of try and sort of do a setup to see, of certain sounds, see how it goes. Go away, do something else, and then come back to it. And if you like it, then you can obviously store that in somewhere. Or you can, in a gig, if you just need to set something up quickly, but you don't really want to store it, you just put it into one of those and it'll remember it. So that's the live mode. It's going to be quite handy. Now, just underneath that, you've got the transpose button, and then you've got slot A and slot B, which it gets a little bit getting your head around why they've done this. But basically, slot A, say for example, you wanted to have organ, piano, and synth. So all 3 sounds switched on, which you can do. You can then flick to slot B and select a further 3 different sounds. So you can have another type of organ, another type of piano, another type of synth. And then what you can do is you can then layer those together. So literally you can have 2 lots of pianos and 2 lots of synths and 2 lots of organs. I mean, I've done that to get a DX sound. So in the piano, when I say DX, sorry, I like a LA DX piano, electric piano, and sort of a strings in the background as well. So I've got a grand piano, I've got electric grand piano set up, and then I've also got in the synth section a DX piano, and also a synth strings as well. So I've loaded all that up. So slot A is one piano and the electric, and then slot B is the grand electric piano and the strings. And I've morphed assigned for the wheel, so then I can bring the string sound up on the function wheel, which it might sound a little bit complicated, but actually it's very, very quick and easy to do, and it brings in the strings nice and easy, and say you can it gives you a whole sort of varied options to layer sounds. It's brilliant. Then the next section we've got is the synth section, which I've not really gone into a great detail on this part of the keyboard as yet. There's going to be quite a lot to get involved in that one. However, you've got an arpeggiator built in. You've got obviously all the different modes for the synth sort of section. So you've got waves, FMs, and then obviously all the saw type effects and the pads. in the sample section, it basically gives you a whole load of different samples, which again you can download whatever you like and delete ones off of there. So when I say samples, trumpets, trombones, brass sections, flutes, there are quite a few in there. A lot of string sounds, and there's a lot of sounds actually, sort of vintage type sounds in there, which are absolutely brilliant. So you can obviously change all the ways that they sound. With you've got all the different functions of the attack, decay, and release, and envelopes, change in resonance. As I say, there's so much in there at the moment. I can't even sort of go into that really. But you've got the arpeggiator in there as well, which I've had a little play with, which you can set the tempo, click the tempo, and get that sort of running straight away. It's basic arpeggiator, but it's good. It does the trick. Next part is basically for any external any external MIDI keyboards or anything you want to be able to control from this one. And then the next section is the effects. Again, you can have organ, piano, or synths, and you have two different effects, being tremolo, pans, and wahs. And then the second lot of effects are things like flange, phaser, and chorus. And then you have a separate delay as well, which is, again, you can tap the tempo for the delay. Makes it all very, very quick. So easy to do on the fly. Next one is the equalizer and amp simulator. As I say, with regards to that, you can alter and mess around with the EQ of the different sounds, which is quite handy, I must admit, if you need to cut through a little bit more. Very, very quick and easy to do. And the very last bit, you've got compressor for things obviously like the electric pianos, and for pianos as well. And then you've got your reverb at the end there, which is again very, very easy to control. That is it. Obviously at the rear, you've got the power on and off button. You've got the rotor latch switch you can use. NORD do a pedal, which it's quite expensive, but I think if you're going to be using it as a piano, it's a must. If you're just using it for piano, then it is a must. But otherwise, I think if you're using it sort of just for basic gigging and you're using a piano sound, but you don't need to have all the fancy gimmicks with it, then you can just use an ordinary pedal. But you've got obviously a latch for the rotary sound. You've got MIDI outs. You've got a USB out, which allows you to update all the software and connect it to the software that is provided, sound managers and things, which I've sort of tapped into a little bit of that. You've got 4 outputs, and you have a monitor in and then a headphone socket. So that is pretty much it for the NORD. I'm just going to go through some of the sounds that are in there, and some of the ones that I've set up, just to give you a bit of an idea. But I'm sure you'll agree that the sound of this is absolutely phenomenal. It's absolutely brilliant.